Hey guys, so I have finally realized that maybe now I have a chance to talk about the puppies diet, or what we feed here at Kipp and Kennels to our puppies while they are so nice and calm and all sleeping. So let's get to it. So what we feed our puppies is a varied diet. This is something I put a very strong emphasis on. It is very important that you don't feed just like one kind of meat. So basically, to make it simple and easy to remember, you can use like three groups of animals. Basically, the large animals, the four-legged ones, which would be beef and pork. Then you can, of course, also use lamb. We don't actually use lamb, but I mean, this is the group. The next group would be birds. So chicken and turkey in particular is something that we feed to our puppies on a daily basis. And the third group would be fish. We don't have many fish sources here for dogs, so our only option is adding salmon. So we feed salmon, but we add about up to 20% of it into the total meal for the puppies. So from these three groups, if you want to know what we specifically feed, it would be beef, green tripe. That means raw stomachs that are basically still full of a little bit pre-digested vegetable matter food from the cow's stomachs. So those are awesome, and we feed about 70%, between 60 and 70% of those. We also feed quite a bit of lungs, which are actually, for some of you, maybe surprisingly, calculated as muscle mass, so not as an inner organ. And then we would feed inner organs such as kidneys, liver, but those would be about 5 to 10%, not more. And we actually give them quite a bit of trachea or esophagus, because that comes together with the lungs, and actually there are also some hearts in there, but always in its natural form. So I mean, we get one set of lungs that has one heart and one esophagus in it, and then we just grind it up together with the tripe. So that way you're keeping a natural balance. You're keeping a proper ratio without having to think about it. So this is kind of what we feed. We feed it all ground up, and then we actually buy a ready-made raw diet, which is a blend of chicken and turkey and pork that has actually bone ground up in it as well. And we mix that with our own meat and with the fish. We also like to feed eggs. We would feed our puppies eggs about 3 times a week, and that would be including the eggshells. But what we actually do with the eggshells is we kind of let them dry naturally in a dish or somewhere for a week or so, and then we grind them and powder them, and then we would feed them powdered to our dogs, because that way it's easier to distribute them among more dogs. And they're also like not sharp in case you have like a very small puppy or a dog with a very, very sensitive digestive tract. So those would be the protein sources, and the eggshells would be kind of a supplement. Then we actually add oatmeal, steamed or cooked. I usually do steamed. I make sure that it's properly steamed, like that it's properly kind of brewed, that it stays in the dish with the water, with quite a bit of water for a proper amount of time, so that it's like properly soaked and properly soft, so it's again like easily digestible by the dogs. yeah, and into that we add a whole bunch of supplements, and that is probably something that interests you most. As you know, I am into herbs and into natural supplementing a lot, and yeah, I put a very strong emphasis on where those supplements come from and what they are. So, it's not about like adding as many supplements as possible, but the most important thing actually is to make sure that the supplements are in their natural form, that they are natural. So they can be store-bought, but they have to be in their natural form. So ideally, they're in form of like dried herbs. You can have them powdered, although I highly recommend using fresh herbs or dried herbs that you would make a nourishing infusion from. So that would be the herbs. Then we also like to add sea treasures, as I call them. Icelandic sea corals and Icelandic kelp. We have wonderful source that is organically harvested and it's certified. So we like to have as little impact on the environment for our sake. So we're very happy about that, and it's a very high quality. And it has amazing nutritional profile. So those are, if I could not, or if you guys could not choose or could not afford using many supplements, I would definitely always recommend to pick kelp and sea corals. So, and you are probably really interested in knowing which herbs are the ones we give to our puppies, which are the ones that you can be sure are safe to feed them. So herbs for puppies, definitely dandelion leaf. You can also use dandelion blossoms. Oh, there goes our cat Mio. Nettles, greater plantain, garlic can be in a dried form or fresh as well. Rose hips. You can also kind of feed herbs depending on the season. So if it is a cold period or cold season and you have your puppies outside or getting them used to being outdoors, herbs like ginger or true cinnamon and calendula, as I mentioned, and even rose hips are very good for that. Chickweed, an amazing herb that should absolutely not be missing from dogs' diet, and they love it. Who doesn't, I mean? You can also give them fireweed leaves, or in the springtime, as we have now, fireweed shoots. You can give them red clover and also raspberry leaf. So as you see, the variety is really big. And of course, it doesn't mean that you have to feed all of them at once or all of them in the same day. So you can pick like 3 or 4 and just kind of rotate them. You can also decide, on the season. So if you have like now in the springtime, here in Sweden, what we have, or we're soon gonna have enough of, would be dandelion leaves and those beautiful young nettles. So those would be the first herbs we're going to start adding to our puppies, and of course also the adult dogs diet. So that would be the herbs that are easy to pick in the wild or around your house. Just make sure that they are not from lawns or areas that are treated with chemicals, pesticides and herbicides. So be very, very careful with that. Also, you don't want to pick anywhere close to big roads where there's a lot of traffic and pollution and stuff like that. So that's the herbs, but there are also other herbs that I actually don't have at home. I like using milk thistle. And I also like to work with flaxseed. Flaxseed is actually on the menu of all our dogs regularly, at least every other day, for various reasons. I think I forgot to mention oils. I'm not very sure. If you have seen, if you have actually heard it in the beginning of the video, here's a little recapitulation for you. So oils, make sure if you're ever feeding oil extra, like adding extra oils to your puppy's diet, make sure that the meat that you're already putting into the dish is not too fat, because if it is pretty fatty, don't add extra oils. But if you are adding them, then be sure that it is human grade quality and that it is raw. That is cold pressed raw. So you don't want to be using any processed oils or rendered oils. Absolutely not. Like, get away from those. If you have them at home for your dog, throw them away right now. I am not one of those people who are gonna be telling you like do this and don't do that, but really super important thing to know: feed your dogs only with cold pressed oils, and yourself too if you care enough about your health. So what kind of oils? I really have great experience with raw coconut oil, as well as wild salmon oil, so like wild caught salmon oil, absolutely not from farmed fish, and also flaxseed oil. But you can also grind up flaxseed, the seeds themselves, but they're gonna be like a whole diet, where they're gonna be a source of also other nutrients besides the fatty acids. So when you're adding oils, make sure that you're adding oils that are rich in middle chain triglycerides or omega-3 fatty acids. There is absolutely no need to add oils rich in omega-6 fatty acids, because the meats, most of the meats that we feed to our dogs and cats already have enough of those. So we just want to like create more balance, because most food and most food sources do not contain the omega-3s and so on. So I know it's a lot of stuff and it might sound complicated, but it isn't. Just choose a few. You don't have to feed everything all at once. Just gonna make sure that you're rotating and that your puppy or your puppies get all of those, let's say within a week, rotated. And that way you are basically making sure that all of these guys are getting a rich and varied diet, which is super important, because it is only the varied diet that can provide what each individual dog or any animal might need at a given moment for their dietary needs and for whatever needs they have, for their bodily functions and so on. And that's it. I have been doing this for years and years. I've been breeding dogs for 30 years nearly, and they are healthy. They work hard. They're athletic sled dogs. So they grow up from this diet. They grow up to be very hardworking long-distance sled dogs, and many of them live long, happy, healthy lives. So I believe that this diet is pretty optimal for our needs here at our kennel. So I hope this was at least somewhat inspirational or informative, and I hope to make some other videos some other time on another topic about natural healthcare, holistic approach to raising dogs. And make sure to let me know in comments or in messages and so on. If there's like a specific topic you'd like me to talk about, I will be more than happy to touch that sometime. So have a great day, everybody.